Welcome to Skytech-Lens. A quiet has fallen, deeper than just the absence of machines. It's the hush of a legacy winding down, echoing through the empty halls and silent corners. These factories once powered American industry, their smokestacks rising above towns that depended on their steady hum for decades. General Electric, a name that stood for innovation in American manufacturing might, is now closing plants across the country, marking the end of a remarkable chapter. For generations, a GE job meant more than just a paycheck. It was stability, pride, and a reliable path to the middle class, shaping the lives of countless families. Now that legacy is being shipped overseas. Thousands of families are left facing uncertainty, wondering what comes next as their livelihoods disappear. The closures hit especially hard in towns built around these factories, places where generations worked side by side, forging bonds that extended beyond the factory gates. Local businesses, schools, and even community traditions feel the impact, as the loss ripples through every part of daily life. GE's decision, driven by global economics and shifting tariffs, signals a turning point for American industry and the communities that depend on it. Ironically, the very policies meant to protect American jobs are now being blamed for sending them away, leaving workers and leaders searching for answers. As the gates close for the last time, entire communities are left to rebuild their identities, facing an uncertain future in the shadow of silent factories. The end of GE's era forces us to confront what the future holds for American manufacturing and what it means for the people who built it. Why did GE make this drastic move? The answer: tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods, meant to make American products more competitive. But GE relies on a global supply chain, importing specialized parts from around the world. In 2025, sweeping tariffs hit 10% on most imports, 20% from the EU, 34% from China. Suddenly, GE's costs soared. Essential materials became unaffordable. The company couldn't pass all these costs to customers without losing sales. Internal fixes, automation, union negotiations, seeking domestic suppliers weren't enough. The financial hole was too deep. Building in America became unsustainable. Tariffs, meant as a shield, became a crushing weight. GE was forced to look overseas to survive. Behind the numbers are real people whose lives are upended. For many, a GE job was a lifelong promise, now gone. Families who built their futures on factory work face unemployment and uncertainty. Skills honed over decades suddenly have no place in shrinking towns. Local businesses suffer, tax revenues drop, and public services decline. Communities hollow out as people leave in search of work. The closure severs generational bonds and a sense of purpose. Workers ask, if GE can't make it here, who can? The loss is more than economic, it's deeply personal. From GE's leadership, moving production overseas was a last resort. Tariffs made American-made products too expensive to compete globally. Competitors abroad, free from these costs, could undercut GE. The company tried automation, union talks, and domestic sourcing. None solved the problem. Ultimately, GE shifted operations to countries with lower labor costs and better tariff agreements. This was about survival, building a resilient, flexible global supply network. The board faced a painful choice: stay loyal to American workers or protect the company's future. Investors demanded profitability. The stock was falling. The move was framed as a necessary evil to keep GE alive. For affected communities, it was a devastating blow. This is a tale of two GEs, offshoring versus reshoring, each representing a different vision for the future of American manufacturing. For decades, offshoring was the norm, with companies chasing lower costs overseas. But now, the landscape is shifting. While the core GE has moved factories out of the US in search of cheaper labor and global efficiencies, GE Appliances, now owned by Haier, is making a bold bet on American manufacturing, investing heavily in new facilities and technology. GE Appliances is bringing production lines back to the US, creating thousands of new jobs and revitalizing local communities that once depended on manufacturing. Their strategy is simple but powerful: build close to customers, respond quickly to changing demand, and maintain tight control over the supply chain for greater flexibility and reliability. Tariffs on imported goods made bringing finished appliances from overseas more expensive, suddenly making US investment not just patriotic but practical and profitable. Meanwhile, the core GE, which relies on a complex web of global suppliers, found itself vulnerable. Tariffs and supply chain disruptions crippled their operations and exposed hidden risks. GE Appliances focused on consumer goods, embraced automation and advanced robotics to make U.S. production cost-effective, blending human skill with cutting-edge technology. Ownership, business strategy, and the nature of the product line all shape how companies respond to trade policy and global economic shifts. The contrast between these two approaches shows that manufacturing can not only survive but truly thrive in America if companies are willing to adapt and innovate. Ultimately, it's a lesson in adaptation, resilience, and the power of innovation to shape the future of American industry. Tariffs ripple through the economy, raising prices for everyone. When governments impose tariffs on imported goods, the effects are felt far beyond the targeted industries. Companies try to absorb costs, but consumers end up paying more for cars, appliances, and electronics. Everyday items become more expensive and families may have to cut back on spending. Tariffs aim to protect jobs, but for companies relying on imports, they can have the opposite effect. Businesses that depend on global supply chains face tough choices as their costs rise. Higher costs force layoffs, hiring freezes, or offshoring, sometimes leading to a net loss of jobs. Workers and their families feel the impact as factories slow down or shut their doors. Major companies like Honeywell and Caterpillar are considering similar moves if tariffs persist. These decisions can affect entire communities that rely on manufacturing jobs. Uncertainty makes businesses hesitant to invest or hire in the U.S. When the future is unclear, companies often delay expansion or new projects, slowing economic growth. Tariffs often spark retaliation. Other countries tax American exports, hurting farmers and manufacturers. This can lead to lost sales and shrinking markets abroad. Trade wars disrupt global markets and shrink international trade. The uncertainty can rattle investors and send shockwaves through the stock market. The intended protection can backfire, harming growth and stability. Communities may struggle as businesses close and opportunities dry up. The GE story is a warning for the broader economy, showing how tariffs can reshape industries and livelihoods in unexpected ways. GE's closures hit Main Street hard. Families lose jobs. Towns lose hope. On Wall Street, some investors saw the move as necessary for GE's survival. The stock market initially tumbled on tariff news, but rebounded as GE announced its restructuring. Investors bet on future profits from lower-cost overseas production. This highlights the disconnect. Wall Street rewards tough decisions, even if they devastate communities. For investors, it's about efficiency and returns. For workers, it's about livelihoods lost. GE's dual responsibility to shareholders and employees came into conflict. The decision showed which side took precedence. Investors wager on GE's future, communities pay the price now. It's the cold reality of modern capitalism. Amid closures, a reshoring revolution offers hope. GE Appliances leads the way, proving it's possible and profitable to build in America. Their success relies on automation, advanced technology, and upskilling workers. U.S. factories become competitive by increasing efficiency, not just cutting costs. Jobs change but don't disappear. Workers are trained for high-tech roles. Proximity to customers shortens supply chains and boosts responsiveness. Recent global disruptions make domestic production more attractive. The decline of U.S. manufacturing isn't inevitable. Innovation can reverse the trend. With the right investment and strategy, American industry can thrive again. The reshoring story is a blueprint for a new era. GE's exodus forces a tough question. Are tariffs the right tool to protect jobs? For many companies, tariffs became a trap, raising costs and driving jobs away. The result: lost jobs, shuttered factories, wounded communities. GE Appliances' success points to a different path: investing in technology, innovation, and people. America needs a new blueprint: advanced factories, robust training, and smart incentives. State and local incentives help, but lasting change requires a national strategy. Congress is considering more oversight of tariffs, recognizing their far-reaching impact. The challenge is to balance global realities with support for American workers. GE's story is a painful lesson, but it could spark a smarter, more resilient future. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more updates.